This is your agricultural first television station, and the program is Aqua Farming. Program tells us towards bringing you the lucrative side of all the aquatic animals, be it fish, shrimps, crabs, crocodiles. In fact, even frogs right now are viable business that requires exploitation as we speak. Today on the program Aqua Farming, we'll be looking at consumer acceptability of smoked and fresh fish. Economic development of many countries as it contributes employment generation, income augmentation, addressing food and nutritional security concerns, and foreign aid. Nigeria, on realization that there existed a wide gap between demand and supply of animal protein in the 1990s, invested heavily in fish production. Today, Nigeria is a leading catfish producer in sub-Saharan Africa. Catfish production in Nigeria represents more than half of the total production volume, with an estimation of 13.3 kg annual per capita. Fish consumption as of 2013, according to FAO, in 2017, in order to avoid wastage and economic loss, fresh catfish is hot smoked to keep its quality at a high level. With increasing demand for fish as per capita income and high prices of alternative sources of animal protein, there has been a shift to the consumption of fish. These are mostly the fishery sectors play significant role in the economic development of many countries as it contributes to employment generation, income augmentation, addressing food security in fresh and smoked forms. Due to increase in aquaculture production and Nigerian population, there is a need to study the consumer preference and consumption patterns so that investors can determine the products that are preferred, thereby witnessing sustained fish demand. In general, consumers buying of a product largely depends upon their perception about the product. In 2006, stated that consumer preferences for a product differ depending on the nature of the product as well as the social and economic status of the consumer. Consumers' purchasing decisions are determined by the cultural, social, personal, and psychological factors. According to the research, consumers' occupation, income level, and purchasing power influences their purchasing decisions and buying behavior. Research into consumers' preference and behavior is necessary for the development of the consumer's product to secure sustained consumer demand, and to maximize various strategies are used in collecting information on consumers' behavior and preference on the product in order to witness sustained consumer demand of the product. According to information, different aspects consumer preference and behavior for a particular product, such as demographics, social-cultural, socio-economic information are collected by the food industry to maintain their product competitive in markets or to develop products. On this episode of the program, we'll be looking at consumers' acceptability of smoked fish and fresh fish. Take a look.
Fish is a major source of food for humans, providing significant portion of the protein intake in the diet of large proportion of the people, particularly so in developing countries. Fish is less tough and more digestible compared to beef, chicken, mutton. Moreover, has little or no religious rejection that gives it an advantage over pork beef. The African catfish Claris gariepinus Bochel is a remarkable and fascinating species as it is extremely hardy and withstands adverse environmental conditions and habitat instability. It is hardy and does not easily succumb to disease and feeds all types of bio-waste. The fish can efficiently assimilate a wide variety of animal and plant proteins. Growth of these fish under natural conditions is fast. The predatory cannibalism and voracious feeding habits of these fish cut the impression of the farmers to culture them in natural inland freshwater bodies. Moreover, the faster growth rate and relative higher market price of this fish has been luring the farmer to take up its culture. Fish is a major source of food for humans, providing significant portion of the protein intake in the diets of large proportion of the people, particularly so in developing countries. Fish is less tough and more digestible compared to beef, chicken, and mutton. In recent years, capture fishery production has been flat at around 900 million tons per year, while aquaculture has continued to show sustained growth, currently around 6.5% a year faster than all other food sector. In 2011, it amounted to 62.7 million tons. Some gains in capture fisheries might be possible by adopting better management through an ecosystem approach. But significant increase are unlikely. However, it has been estimated that if all inputs were available, aquaculture could provide 16 to 47 million additional tons of fish by 2030. A comparison of capture fisheries and aquaculture production in top 5 aquaculture producing countries in 2011. It is interesting to note that in the 4 out of the 5 top aquaculture producers, the output from aquaculture exceed that from capture fisheries. Only in Indonesia, a vast archipelago is captured more than aquaculture. A total of 465 million tons of fish was produced from all sources in 2011, of which 139 million tons was available for direct human consumption. In 2014 alone, Nigeria imported 800 metric tons of fish and therapy involving foreign producers to feed Nigerian, thus depleting our hard-earned resources and foreign exchange. Fish consumption was 6.89 kg caput, yes, to meet in Lagos State in the southwest Nigeria, despite the fact that it's the most consumed source of animal protein in Nigeria. The level of consumption is still far below the world average, as reported by the Food Agriculture Organization Corporate Statistical Database. In addition, substantial proportion of the fish consumed in Nigeria is still being imported. Hence, the need to expand local production to meet the increasing demand and save the country from available negative balance payment. Nigeria are high fish consumers, with a total current consumption figures of about 2.0 million metric tons, with an annual fish import figure of about 700 metric tons. Meanwhile, the total fish consumption is worthwhile, not only in determining national and localized fish requirement, but on the final analysis in satisfying public demand for fish products. Research has shows that Nigeria's current demand for fish consumption in the country stand at about 3.2 million metric tons per annum. Nigeria produces a total of 1.1 million metric tons, leaving a huge gap of 2 million tons in supply of fish and fish products. Fish plays an important role in fighting hunger and malnutrition. Fish is not only a source of protein and healthy fats, but also a unique source of essential nutrients, including long-chain omega-3 fatty acid, iodine, vitamin D, and calcium. The multiple benefit of fatty high fish in omega-3s and small fish eating whole containing nutrients in the skin and bones clearly illustrates seafood's irreplaceable nutrition value. An increased focus on fish and nutrition aids both developing countries and the developed world. In many developing countries, fish is the main or only source of animal protein and is essential for providing micronutrients to vulnerable populations. Fish can sometimes serve as a solution to existing health problems. For instance, Nigerian neurodevelopment often undervalued parts of the fish, like the head, viscera, and backbones make up 30% of fish and are especially high in micronutrients. It has increased from 9 kg per capita in 1961 to approximately 20 kg per capita today. Catfish, Clarus garapinos, so far has been the most valuable species in Nigeria. That suit tropical region for culture and aquatic environment, which is also a cheap and most available animal protein to the common man, provide up to 40% of animal protein consumed by an average Nigeria. The citizen in Awka, Anambra State is faced with two main choices. Either they prefer consuming the fresh or the smoked dry Claris Garapinus. The choices of each individual depend on a number of factors. Some of these factors include family use, knowledge of agriculture, and general educational level, income, age, occupation, etc. The project focuses on determining the socioeconomic factors that affect consumers' preference. for fresh and smoked dry catfish in Oka, Anambra State, and also how the preference for fresh and smoked dry catfish is affected by taste and package as well as cost and availability of the fish. This episode of the program Aqua Farming also aims at answering some questions which you have to be answering in order for the state in order for Nigerians to be able to make proper policies to either increase the production of fresh catfish or to encourage the processing of fresh catfish into smoked dry products. Some of these questions include: are there any significant difference between the consumer's preference for fresh catfish and smoked dry one based on socio-economic factors? Number two question is: which is the most preferred fish among fresh and smoked dry fish? Number three question is: how do the prices of the fish product and the income of the consumers affect their consumption of fish? Although many researchers have studied consumers' choice for both fresh and smoked dried catfish products in Nigeria, amongst them are Jimo, Popola, Emi Ibrahim, Ayola AA, Ayewale AOS, Ladipo Fabi 1981, Adesimi Aderonola 1983, Onyeye Adegboye 1986, Adeniyi 1989 and 1987, Aquino Shaw 2013. They carried out their studies in different locations across the country. However, no work has been done on consumers' acceptability of fresh and smoked dried fish in Oka, Anambra State. This research is to assist the fisheries experts, economists, and nutritionists with the information which can be useful in their works and research. Also, this research will also help the farmer to either market catfish fresh or to smoke dry it depending on the consumer's acceptability. The evaluation of consumers' preference for fresh and smoked dry fish product can be used for production planning and distribution of fish across the country as they need. This episode of the program Aqua Farming will look into the functional relationship between the type of catfish consumer choices to consume some selected variables, which also reflect the socio-economic studies of the resident of Anambra State, thereby furnishing fisheries expert agricultural firms, those responsible for allocation of agricultural and aquacultural utilities and the government, sociologists, and even economics with the information useful for their work. The broad object of this study is to evaluate the consumer's preference on fresh and smoked dried fish, carriers garapinos. The specific objectives are as follows: to determine the market segments having higher demand than advise fish producers on production line as appropriate, to determine the relationship between the average income and the form of catfish consumption in the study area, to determine the relationship between the educational level and the form of catfish consumption in the study area. This episode of the program sought to investigate effects of the socioeconomic status of people of socioeconomic status of Nigerians on their preference of catfish. Two research methodologies used to investigate and capture data about this differential. Several different methods of primary data collection was used to capture and record the diverse responses. For example, literate members was given the sample questionnaire to fill by themselves, while those that can read and write questions in the questionnaire filled based on their responses. The question posed in the survey were deliberately explanatory in order to discover the respondents' socioeconomic status so as to critically relate them to their difference in the preference of catfish. The major problem they encountered was that most of the respondents were not encouraging the management. They were reluctant in filling the questionnaire because some of them thought it might affect them in one way or the other. Some were complaining of hunger, even requested for money before they filled the questionnaire, while others refused to fill the questionnaire without any reason. Different kind of fish are consumed in Nigeria. The catfish consumption is increasingly becoming popular among Nigerians. It can be consumed in different ways. Due to its perishability, many preservative methods are employed to extend its shelf life in Nigeria. Such methods include freezing, drying, smoking. However, smoking is the most common and practicable method of preservation. This is due to the fact that it is affordable and improves the organoleptic properties of the final product. Smoking is practiced by rural and urban dwellers in preserving fish by smoking water activities. It lowered to the point where the activity of spoilage microorganisms is inhibited. Processors of smoked fish adopt different handling methods, which are effect on the quality of the final product. According to research, salting addition of vinegars as well as the type of wood used for the smoking fire has significant contribution to the quality of smoked fish. Other methods that may contribute to the quality of smoke include methods of harvesting and killing the fish, duration of holding the fish before smoking, types of oven. It is therefore important to obtain information and consumers' perspective of fish quality as this will assist processors to meet their demand. Research has shown that Southwest Nigeria made up to 6 states, namely Ekiti, Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo states. The region has a landmass of 76,858 square kilometers and a population of about 27.7 million Nigerians. The Southwest region is dominated majorly by the Yoruba tribe. The weather conditions vary between the two distinct seasons in Nigeria. The rainy season, which usually starts in March and ends around November, and the dry season usually between November to February. During the dry season, the region experiences harmattan, which is associated with dust, cold, dry winds from the northern deserts. Male and female, both old and young, are involved in fishing activities in the region, although women are more involved in processing and marketing of the products, while men are into the production and mostly in the coastline. To harvest fish, lately production of catfish through culture system is becoming popular in the region. Multi-state sampling procedure was used for data collection. Southwest states, namely Ogun, Ondo, and Osun, were selected using random sampling method of the study. Then there was a propulsive selection among communities where catfish was regularly smoked and marketed in order to get adequate respondents. A total of 100 respondents were randomly sampled across the selected communities. In each of the states, 300 questionnaires were administered in all the 3 states, out of which 19 questionnaires were found not useful for the analysis due to missing data. The questionnaire was partitioned into the 3 basic sections: socioeconomic characteristics, the small catfish consumption pattern, as well as the factors considering in purchasing the product. Descriptive statistics was employed to measure the socioeconomic characteristics, consumption, and perception of smoked catfish by respondents, while other research determined the factors that contribute to the smoked catfish consumption by the respondents. Some of the variables such as majority of respondents belong to the age of 36 to 35 years, followed by the people in the range age of 36 to 45 years, while those who were less than 18 years were in the minority. The age distribution reflects that a good percentage of the sample population are smoked catfish consumers, and this can contribute significantly to involving health status among larger percentage of working group in the society. The result also shows that 54.8% of the respondents were male, while about 45% were female. This could mean that a good percentage of household heads are more interested in consuming smoked catfish, and this could possibly influence the entire family members into consuming smoked catfish. Parents, especially the household heads, are more influential in modifying the diet of children in the family, and thus these may have influence in encouraging the children and the family to consume smoked catfish. The marital status distribution of the respondents shows that the majority of the respondents were married, about 35% were single, while 2.3% were either divorced or widow. About 53.4% of the respondents had household size range of 4 to 6, with 34%.
The Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria (ARCN) coordinates the activities of research institutes and is responsible for supervision, regulation, coordination of research activities and programs of higher institutions in Nigeria. I'm Professor Hamidu Shaributu. Since assumption as Executive Secretary of ARCN in April 2020, has solidified the transformation of agriculture in Nigeria through strategic and meaningful execution of research findings for improvement of the agricultural sector.
For grains, we have the parabolic solar dryers. These are specialized solar dryers used for drying agricultural produce such as whole grains, yam and cassava chips, fruits and vegetables more efficiently. It is made of a special material that concentrates the rays of the sun within the enclosure while eliminating harmful ultraviolet radiation. Products dried are free from contaminants and are hygienic.
The parabolic shaped solar dryer is a need-based technology because virtually when we travel all over the country, you will see by the roadside, you see people drying all sorts of agricultural produce. Some spread their own on bare ground, and by the time the vehicles are moving, the dust stay on the products. The reptiles will come, they will eat whatever they can eat, drop their feces and their urine on it, and the owner comes in the evening to pack everything together and still eat that product. And the product has been contaminated, and we feel this is not right, and it is part of our mandate to make sure that we set it right, and that was what led to this, so that we can solve this problem at the grassroots level. Instead of drying by the roadside, drying on just bare ground in their villages, when they have this as a drying center, everybody in the community can bring their product there, spread on the tray, and they get it dry under hygienic condition that is covered. And the dryer also have another property to screen the ultraviolet ray of the sun, which is also can cause hazard to human health.
Since then, Professor Shaributu has operated as visionary captain by restoring the council's glory with the first ever agricultural television and radio station in Nigeria, with well-equipped studios parading state-of-the-art equipment.
The Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria also has a brand new electronic library to further promote research and visualizations of deep thoughts on agricultural development in Nigeria.
The museum, located in the Senator Abdullahi Adamu Center, is an agricultural museum saddled with the responsibility of keeping records of agricultural findings, discoveries, researches for continuity and history purposes.
ARCN
Promoting agriculture.
It's good to know that you are still glued to your first agricultural TV station, where I've been looking at consumers' acceptability of fresh and smoked fish. Preference for fresh and smoked dried products can be used to prepare production plan and distribution of fish across the country. Statistics gave a better understanding of the relationship that existed with the actual consumption or purchase. The most closely studied relation in consumer economics is association between personal preferences, consumption demand curve. Preference is considered to be a major factor in influencing general food consumption behavior. Fish consumption is mostly acted by tradition and habit and can be enhanced by nutritional awareness. Although many researchers have studied consumers' preference for fresh and smoked dried catfish production, there is a paucity of information on consumers' acceptability of fresh and smoked dried catfish. Thus, the research was planned. This documentary therefore examined consumers' preference and behavior for fresh smoked catfish stored within Ilori, Nigeria. Materials and method this study was done in southeastern state. Is a consequence of cultures populated by Yoruba, Fulani, and other tribes. There are different towns that have 3 local government area The population comprises different fishmongers and consumers within Nigeria. Primary data are collected with the use of scheduled interview using structures. Questionnaire primary data for study were collected using sampling techniques. Anyways, many thanks for staying with us on your first agricultural television station. My name remains Joshua Isha. The program has been Aqua Farming, where we look at consumers' acceptability of dried and fresh catfish. See you same time, same station. Bye for now.